All right. Joey, do the intro.
Hello, and welcome to the Exotic Trash Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Simcoe, and I'm wearing a Jason mask. And with us today, we have...
Mr. Monsour.
I thought everyone was going to say their name,
No.
like how
No.
we usually do. Okay.
No.
That's just how we usually do it. That's fine. It's
Oh,
whatever.
do you want me to go as well? I'm your co-host,
yeah.
Jimmy Skidmore.
Yeah, that's how we usually do it.
All right.
And I guess I'm the special guest, Mr. Mansour. So
You are the special guest.
Not sure what I signed up for, but okay, I'm kind of interested. So
You signed up for Exotic Trash.
It only gets
Gotcha.
worse.
So how is this? So Joey, is this kind of like you like the head podcaster here, and you kind of throw out questions?
I am the host.
You are the host. Okay.
Yeah, I am the host. So basically, what we do is we just talk, like natural conversation.
But with the points this time.
Yeah, with points.
So I have some questions for each of you, though. Can I start, or am I messing up your mode?
No.
Yeah, you can go right ahead.
So I'm going to each ask you this question. So since we're going to talk about slasher films for whatever. So I want you to think about what was the first like scary movie you saw, and like what kind of impact it had on you. I'm going to go first, and then
okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So mine was probably Evil Dead, which was a classic 1980.
Oh.
Now, problem was I was a latchkey kid, so like parents would just let you run loose, and so I went to a neighbor's house, and this was on VHS. Watched Evil Dead, classic, but I could not go into the woods for years. That movie scarred me, where I was afraid to actually go into the woods because of just so. Anyways, if you've not seen the original Evil Dead, it's an interesting one. But so who wants to go next? First one and why?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Joey.
So first one that I remember watching, I was living in Tennessee at the time, so I would have been in 3rd, 4th grade. And my mom turned on Child's Play.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, that really messed me up because I have a younger sister, and she had dolls at the time, and I could not stand being around a doll for the longest time. And then as I got older, I just started to like horror movies more and more. And then I actually ended up taking my dad's My Buddy doll from when he was a kid and pretended it was Chucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
do
you want to go next, Tim, or I can go? Okay. Me or you? I'll go. So
make a decision, boys. Make a decision.
So technically, before I ever watched a horror movie, I watched my father play Resident Evil Code Veronica on the PlayStation 2. And that scarred me way more than any horror movie ever has.
Is that based on zombies?
Yes, yeah, all the Resident Evil. Yeah, this one was I think Code Veronica is like the 3rd or 4th one. It was on the PlayStation 2, so graphics were only so good. But like, I think it was just the fact that the main character could actually die. It like scarred me for years, because I was so used to like, oh, main character makes it through the movie. Like side characters will die, but like when the main character started dying, it kind of scared me, because I always thought I was the main character.
So what do you mean by main character? So the main character in a horror film? Sorry, Tim. Are you talking about the actual like monster as being the main character,
No.
or the protagonist?
Usually the protagonist, because there's always one that survives, and you can kind of follow them.
We'll have that discussion later about survival. But
that's
survival.
Yeah, Tim, are you prepared?
Yeah, sure. When I was like 7, I think, me and my sister, every Halloween they have a Halloween movie marathon on AMC with all of the Halloween movies. And so we sat through every single one of them, and I didn't sleep for like a week because I was just because Michael Myers in that franchise, he always comes back no matter what happens.
Well, what about the one where like they did the masks, right? There was was it 3 or 4, right? The first 2 was Michael Myers, and then they had the weird mask.
3.
It was 3.
Yeah.
Not my favorite. If you ever notice, like in those franchises, then they always make the one bad one. So if you like think to Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 does not have anything to do with the rest of them. So what was your view on that one, Tim, since you're the expert on Halloween? Which one I'm talking about with the masks?
Well, I actually think that the 3rd one, it wasn't it had absolutely nothing to do with the rest of them. But it wasn't a horrible movie. I mean, it was still an interesting plot. It wasn't scary, but it.
Boo. I'm just kidding.
Maybe I was just a little.
Boo! Your opinion sucks.
Your opinion.
So of all of them, though, Tim, what's your favorite one? Which one's your favorite Michael Myers Halloween franchise one?
I think it's the fourth one, because the fourth one is where the little girl comes in.
That's
And I
bull.
really liked her part of the story.
See the one that was like mute and like could like sense when he was around.
After the fourth one, but in the
Gotcha.
fourth, he wasn't mute.
Yeah.
Tim, I wish I would have known you had this affinity for Halloween movies. We could have had much more better discussions in fifth period, but you might actually pay attention. So,
Yeah.
all right, sorry.
Okay. So actually talking about Halloween, I feel like that's what we should start off with, seeing that it's what started the whole slasher franchise.
Yeah.
So,
I
what do you mean, huh?
mean,
So, why don't you define slasher for me, Joey?
Well, okay, so basically a bunch of teenagers getting killed.
Oh, so you're like a Halloween, Friday
Yeah.
13th, Nightmare on Elm
Yeah.
Street kind of.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
so you're thinking like
Yeah.
golden era, just gore
Yeah.
movies. I like to include
1980s
some
to
older
the
zombie
90s.
movies.
So what's the original horror flick then?
Well, the original is actually
Night of the Living Dead, absolutely.
That's fair.
no. There's older horror flicks than Night of the
Not
Living
good
Dead.
ones.
Nosferatu
What?
or whatever, the one that was like about the vampire looking guy, no Dracula.
Oh, Nosferatu.
Yeah, Nosferatu.
I butchered
Nosferatu.
I don't know if that still counts as a horror film.
Well, I mean, then it scared people, and like, because people were definitely more easier to trick back then.
I guess for me, the first, like the start of the golden era of horror films is Night of the Living Dead.
The original?
But
Yeah, the original.
I love Dracula, despite how bad it is. I just love it.
Yeah, but Dracula was like one in a collection of really bad horror movies.
What?
Night of the
Frankenstein was awesome.
period where there were a lot of
Yeah.
Wait, Tim, time out. I need you to justify this. So you have Dracula, Frankenstein. What were the other bad ones?
Well, Frankenstein was good, but like, there's not memorable ones from that period in time.
You mean like The Mummy,
need to
The
justify
Invisible
it.
Man?
Creature from the Black Lagoon. That
Oh,
That one's not that good though. I don't think.
Oh my!
wow.
Tim is out here making the boldest claims I
Boldest
have ever heard.
claims.
I'd like you to do a CER, a claim evidence reasoning, based on your.
A whole report. That's next week's homework.
Let's go back. Well, I think what's interesting when you look at the Night of the Living Dead movies, often when he would make those, George Romero, it reflected something that was going on in society at the time. So if you look at the original Night of the Living Dead, right, protagonist, African American, he saves all these people locked in the house. He comes out and he gets shot at the end.
Yeah.
Then if you look at the ones that made in the 80s, it was about mass consumption. They're stuck in a mall, right? And then if you think of like what the Walking Dead, who are really the dead, the ones that are alive, it's not because they're. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see as we survive quarantine 2020, what kind of horror movies or what do you
Are
think
gonna
is going
come
to be
out?
the theme?
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, as I told most of you in my daily news announcements, keep a pandemic journal because 20 years from now or 10 years from now, they're going to be making, what you experience in life very good. So what do you think? What do you think the horror genre is going to be like based after we get out of this and who knows how long?
I definitely think it's going to be like an isolation thing. The general idea is going to be like the isolation, stuck away from people.
I actually did see a tweet the other day. It was about, in 5 years from now, they're going to make a movie about a family that just loses their mind mentally and psychologically in quarantine. I was like, yeah, I see that happening.
Yeah.
Someone's probably writing it right now.
In their journal, unwittingly.
Yeah.
Well, because if you look after Swine 09, right, you had Contagion. So it's not like we haven't had these outbreak. If you look at the outbreak about Ebola, so we've already had these videos these movies present.
Yeah.
Just like a twist on it. So, anyways, just kind of wondering.
Yeah, I definitely think that'll be a cool genre.
A lot of attention.
I like the pathogen movies basically, I just really like zombie movies. So I like the
zombies and pathogens always.
not always, but I like it more when it is. I do like in like The Walking Dead how everybody has it and then they just become a zombie after they die. Yeah.
Because there's a really bad zombie movie back in the 80s. I think it was like Return of the Night of the Living Dead. And it was like some like military gas was.
Yeah, they were in those canisters.
Yeah, and that one, I forget how that one ended. They ended up just nuking the place.
I think they did, yeah. I like that though. I like the pathogen idea more. It feels more real.
But do you think people then like think about that's how these diseases are spread, and they really don't have a good understanding of the science involved?
Like in the movies, or just in general?
In general.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that there's a lot of ignorance on how the diseases will actually spread.
Yeah. I mean, they got their degrees in writing, not in biology or anything like that.
Well, not to offend anybody.
I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm not calling anyone an idiot or anything. It's just like, at least do like a little bit of research.
I do think the bite is a good transmission vector, though.
Why?
Because like human bites are really gross. Like you almost always get infected if you don't clean them.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm almost. I've read it somewhere. I might need a fact check on that, but I was pretty sure that if you got bit by a human, it like always got infected.
Well, I mean, it depends if it breaks the skin. That probably comes back from our fear of rabies, the bite of an animal, right? So,
yeah.
There's actually a pretty good podcast called "This Podcast Will Kill You," and it goes through like all these different diseases throughout history and how they kind of shaped it. But Tim, you're awfully quiet down there. What are you thinking about there, buddy?
I'm just like listening to what everybody's saying.
Okay.
Tim is in penance.
Tim's afraid. He got called out once early in the podcast, and now he's.
Well,
Tim feels like it's fifth period all over again.
Tim thinks he's in class at the moment.
But, have you guys had any other special guests, or am I the first?
Sort of.
Have we?
I mean, most guests are just friends, really.
I'm not your friend. I'm your teacher still. So
yeah.
You're not allowed to be our friend.
No, but there's speaking of if you guys get time, because you got probably 8 weeks at least, maybe less, hopefully.
Yeah.
On like Amazon Fire, they have there was a whole like list of like it was just like a horror station of just played horror movies like the whole time. So I don't remember what it was called, but I might.
I'll have to look into that.
But there was one whole sequence where I think it was Eli Roth, right? I think he's the director, and they just went through like the history of horror flicks, and so just let you know.
That'd be kind of nice.
So
I would watch that.
Yeah,
I'd buy that for $1. Not a horror movie reference.
It was free. So, but what are you doing down there, Tim? Are you texting?
No,
He's researching.
This one horror movie that I really like, and I'm trying to remember which one it is.
What was the basis of it?
I don't even remember. I think.
Oh.
What are you looking up then?
I think
horror
he's looking
movie.
up. He's just looking up a scene from the movie that he remembers, and that's it.
No, it was Cabin Fever.
That's one with that was like that. I think that was like Evil Dead, like modified, right? Because isn't Cabin
kind of like a rip-off of Evil Dead, yeah.
And then it was Cabin Fever. Was it 28 Days Later?
I do remember.
28 Days Later is a zombie movie.
Yeah, but there was that one where like stuff would drop into the eye, right? I forgot what it was called, but I thought it was. And there was one after that too, and then. So what else? This is your show, guys. I'm here to.
Oh yeah.
What are the questions
we still have the list. I was gonna bring up the fact that I've never seen like Child's Play or Scream.
I don't get how you have it.
I don't understand that either.
I've seen like.
I don't understand how you haven't seen Child's Play, but you've seen Leprechaun.
Well.
Oh, Leprechaun's awful.
I genuinely kind of enjoyed Leprechaun.
Leprechaun's fun to watch, but it's just so bad.
It's not a good movie, but it's fun to watch.
The ones that kind of like I don't even know what those paranormal ones now.
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, those ones kind of you're sitting there, you got because it's all about security. Right? Everybody has their home secured, right? And then you've got this that I watched a couple of those, and again, I don't believe in ghosts or anything, but those would kind of freak me out a little bit, just watching those and like, what actually is going on when you're asleep. But there was one of that, and then so Netflix actually has, like, if you like Google on BuzzFeed or something or Reddit or whatever, and you go in, like, they always have like these horror flicks that you've never like would even imagine watching. Some of them are pretty disturbing. There was one there, I can't remember the name of it, but it was on Netflix again, and like it was about a haunted house that like people went in. I forget what it was called, but like at one point, like, so they had these mannequins that were like dressed. I hate clowns; those freak me out. And like these clowns, these people were dressed as clowns, and like they were mannequins, but then somehow like at night they would wake up and they would track people, and it was the Michael Myers effect.
Yeah. That actually made me think of, you guys remember, I don't know if you'll remember it, Mr. Monsour, but it was an animated movie on Cartoon Network where this house came alive and ate people.
Yes, what was it? Wasn't it just called A Haunted House?
I don't know.
It was people still talk about it.
That was a very good one in like 2010 or 11 when it first came on Cartoon Network. It was good if you were like a kid at the time. It would be kind of a bad horror movie if you were an adult. I just remember that it was kind of sad because the house was his wife.
That's weird.
Well, but it was really a person before, like, he didn't marry his house.
Honestly, it's a great story, but the animation now on it is just kind of like, Yeah,
right,
it's aged.
Let's refocus here a little bit. What about thoughts on like some Stephen King? You seen Graveyard Shift with all the rats?
I haven't seen
no, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't seen a lot of Stephen King horror movies.
I would encourage you, like, Cujo is a classic.
Oh, I love Cujo.
Graveyard Shift.
It's a great movie.
I can barely hear you, Tim. What'd you say?
I said Pet Sematary is a great movie.
The original or the new one?
The original.
I like both.
I like the new one better.
I like both, but the original I liked the ending better.
Not brought to you by Dr. Pepper.
That's fair.
Graveyard Shift with all the rats, like just and like the giant. I don't want to ruin it for anybody. It was all right. Stand. You guys ever seen the original Exorcist?
I love
Yes.
The original one, right? That one.
Yeah.
That's probably one of Rosemary's Baby. I'm trying to think of some of the old school like.
Oh, Rosemary's Baby. I didn't think Rosemary's Baby was all that scary, and I thought it was. Yeah. I mean.
The Omen.
Oh, The Omen. That really got me too. I watched that after Child's Play when I was in 3rd and 4th grade. So like that really got me too. Like it's when the lady hanged herself.
Oh yeah. The Omen. What else? I'm just throwing out some old ones I'm starting to remember now.
The Mummy with Brendan Fraser.
No.
What? Would you count that? That's more of an action movie.
I feel like that's kind of a horror movie.
No.
Just a mummy in
No.
it. Kind of scary.
Unless it's going to cause a nightmare, it doesn't count.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, if we're counting things that gave us nightmares, E.T. gave me nightmares as a child.
Why?
Because, like, I don't know. I had a dream where I was going downstairs and there was something under the blanket on the couch. And I was like, oh, I'm going to check that out. Then I picked up the blanket, and then E.T. just came out of nowhere and went, ah! And I'm like, ah! And yeah.
Interesting.
I've been terrified of E.T. since then.
If we're talking about...
Okay, so have you ever seen Friday the 13th?
I've seen them all. I've dressed up as Jason Voorhees on several occasions.
Oh, yeah.
Which movie do you think
Jason Voorhees?
Which movie do you think killed the franchise?
Killed the franchise?
Yeah, like was the worst one.
Probably once you get into the ones where like he comes back.
Yeah.
Because I was always a Freddy Krueger fan initially.
Yeah.
I was always,
Freddy versus Jason was awful.
Friday 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan, bad. Right? Have you guys seen that one? Jason Takes Manhattan.
I don't know if I made it that far.
That one is awful. I watched the whole movie. My favorite part is when
Jason Goes to Hell, Jason Takes Manhattan, Jason vs. Freddy, awful.
Yeah, Jason vs. Freddy is really bad. That was the one that I was kind of excited for because I was like, ooh, crossover event, and then it was terrible.
Okay. So I actually have a little question here. So on Snapchat, I asked people to ask questions. most of them are not appropriate, so I'm not going to ask them. But one of them is actually, the one I'm going to ask is about Freddy versus Jason, and it says, why is Jason afraid of water in Freddy versus Jason?
Well, of course he is, because that's how he died. He drowned, right? So if you go back to the original, let me finish. Don't you cut me off.
Okay.
We were saying that because he drowned, right? So the campers weren't paying attention. He drowned, right? And originally, we know from the first one, its mom was the killer, anyways. But why? What's your thoughts on the water?
My thoughts on the water is that he's scared of it just for the plot.
I kind of agree with that.
Because, for the plot of the movie, because,
why is Freddy afraid of fire?
Well, Freddy's afraid of fire because he died in it.
So did Jason. Jason died in water. And by the way, water is wet, everybody. But anyways. So,
he said it.
He did it. He answered the age-old question.
He drowned. That's why he's afraid of it. Go ahead, Joey.
Here's my reasoning. Throughout the entire Friday the 13th franchise, he is not scared of water at all. He swims. He's in the water for a large portion of the time.
Where's one where he's actually in the water, where he's not
part one.
Something. He's not even in part one.
Yeah, well,
no.
The idea of him is.
No, he's not. It's Mrs. Voorhees who's the one doing all the deeds.
The boy in the lake.
Yeah, but he's in the water. So you're just saying that everybody has their kryptonite, right? Right? Everybody has their weak spot. So every horror villain or whatever has their weak spot, right? What's that?
I said except Michael Myers.
Oh, I think Michael Myers. I think it's his family, because he's constantly trying to battle it, right? Yeah. Michael Myers, it's family. Jason Voorhees is the water. Freddy Krueger, it's fire, right? I'm just saying. What do I know?
Zombies is the head.
Sorry, Joe. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I disagree.
It's fine. I was just stating my opinion. You were stating yours. It's fine.
I can probably back mine up with fact.
I think I agree with Mr. Monsour at the end of this whole discussion.
But the thing is, throughout the other movie, in Jason Takes Manhattan, he literally swims onto the ship.
Are we going to count that as a legit?
Well, yeah. It's part of the franchise.
Is that and it was 3 or 4 where he gets electrocuted, the kid with the pitchfork or something? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
No, that would have been after he was brought back, and he was brought back in part 6.
So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm having a conversation. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
In part 5? Because wasn't part 4?
No, 5 is when Roy's the killer.
Oh yeah.
4 is when he officially dies.
So when did the Nightmare on Elm Street kind of lose their? Did they jump the shark, so to speak?
Part 2.
Yeah, I think.
So part 2 was bad.
Yeah.
3 was probably my favorite. I remember because I tried to sneak into that one. I tried to sneak in. Was that Dream Warriors? No.
Yeah, that was Dream Warriors.
That was my favorite one, but I tried to sneak into the movie theater. They wouldn't let me in. I got caught. Dream Warriors, and then because I think that's supposed to Springfield. Yeah, it's that's if you look at the house, I think it's supposed to be in Ohio.
Yeah,
I think that's right.
The Nightmare on Elm Street franchise takes place in Ohio.
Yeah, and if you go back to so anyways, Children of the Corn. I just thought of that one.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
The original?
Yeah.
Just the original.
Wait, there's a remake?
I don't like the sequels and everything.
There's some remakes.
I've never seen the remakes.
That's
I never watched the remakes.
You drive through Seneca County enough, there's enough corn, you're just waiting for Malachi to pop out.
It'll happen eventually.
So.
How's that there?
All right, good one. What else did we have on the list? We have Leprechaun.
No.
Yeah, we do.
You don't like Leprechaun?
No.
Okay.
We can talk about it. It's not one.
I thought you were saying it wasn't available to be talked about. I thought that was off limits.
I hate the Irish.
I was like, I didn't think the Leprechaun was that bad of a movie, but
it's not scary.
Oh no, it's a bad movie.
I think because okay. So I'm gonna ask a question then. Sorry, Joey, for taking over your podcast.
It's fine.
But what was the last legit scary movie you saw? Horror flick you saw, Tim?
The last actually scary movie that I watched.
Little Shop of Horrors.
No.
Who invited him?
Wait, what?
Who invited Jimmy?
I accidentally co-founded the show, and now you can't get rid of me.
You don't have one thing?
It's not the last one that I watched, but the scariest movie I think I've ever seen is The Ring from 2003.
That was a stupid well and the girl that would crawl out of it.
Yeah.
The VHS tape.
That one really got to me, and I don't know why.
Okay.
I think it's because of the idea of watching the video and then they show us the video in the movie. So it's now I'm.
Oh yeah.
Now I've watched it.
And the same thing goes with Sinister from 2014. That one was a pretty creepy one too.
Don't remember Sinister. Jimmy? Yours is going to be lame. It's probably going to be lame, but we'll hear.
So my favorite, honestly...
The last scary movie you saw.
The last one that scared me?
Yes.
I actually think that the remake of It Chapter 1 had a couple parts that were unnerving. I don't know if scary is entirely correct, but when they ate, when he eats, what's the kid's name at the beginning?
Georgie.
Yeah, that was kind of scary, and I don't entirely know why. I think it's because they showed him try to crawl away, and then he gets eaten the rest of the way. But something about that was not liking how that's sitting.
Joey?
Well, I haven't been scared in a long time. Because I spend a lot of my time watching horror movies by myself.
I do that.
But recently I watched The Witch, and it wasn't so much scary. It was more of a psychological thriller, because it was
definitely
really
unsettling.
It's unsettling, and it's kind of irritating to watch. Because it's how can you just let all these things happen? And yeah, it's definitely more of a psychological thriller than it is a horror movie.
Blair Witch Project.
I
seen that one.
My sister to watch
the remake.
No, I'm not all about remakes.
Original footage.
We don't mess with remakes here.
I saw that one in the theater, Blair Witch, and that's that one at the end. Have you guys all seen it?
Yeah.
It's part at the end. That's probably the thought of being lost in the woods. First of all,
yeah,
it's scary.
How dumb can you be? But the idea, if you've ever gone camping and you hear stuff, because when you're sleeping at night, your mind goes to that place where whatever noise you hear or something, it's going to be bad. But that one kind of, when I saw that in the theater, the Blair Witch Project, Amityville Horror.
Oh, I love Amityville Horror. I'm actually a big fan of the remake with Ryan Reynolds.
I was gonna say I've only seen
Joey, you and your remakes.
No, I especially like the remake because of Ryan Reynolds. I feel like he did a really good job of playing Mr. Lutz really well. And
have you read the book? It was supposedly that the family, there was a family that supposedly that happened to, but they think they were trying to claim insurance. But they said that because the DeFeos that lived there before, right? The whole story of the house.
Yeah, they got killed.
And then I get it. And then the Lutzes moved in, but the idea was the stuff was coming out of the walls and all the flies and all that. But there's some interesting research, because I think they're still around, the Lutzes. But anyway.
Oh yeah. The Warrens, the people who have in the Conjuring franchise. So they're real people, and they actually did the investigation on the Amityville horror house. And they ended up taking that doll that the youngest DeFeo girl, Jody, had. And it's at their museum.
Was that the one that was? That's the one that was sitting in a chair, right? And the chair would rock back and forth. And
no, that's Annabelle.
Yeah,
That's
that's
Annabelle doll.
No, I've never seen Annabelle, but I'm pretty sure in the Amityville horror there was, or maybe it was just a chair rocked and there was no kid in it. Maybe it was just a chair would rock. Because what was the spirit's name? We kept talking. Like
I don't know if
I thought she had a name for it. Anyways.
She might have. No, Ed and Lorraine Warren, they've got a lot of good stories that I'm glad they made like Annabelle out of and whatnot.
Do you guys watch the Ghost Hunters?
Yeah. I haven't seen any newer episodes,
Yeah.
but I've seen some of the older ones because my dad watches it a lot. I don't actually like it that much. I think they play it up too much.
Well, I did one of those like ghost tours of the Mansfield Reformatory. People really buy into it quite a bit. As I said before, I was more scared of the lead paint in the air, but
I kind of had that same thing. I went to it's called Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky. It's supposedly like the most haunted place in America because it was a tuberculosis ward back in like the 30s, and they had a lot of deaths there.
So what makes something haunted?
I think, at least from what I generally accept as haunted, I go with there was a lot of death, and that death had to have been suffering enough to make an imprint. Because if you want to look at it from, I've always looked at it from a semi-scientific perspective. If you look at the way when you spend energy, like pseudoscience, kind of, yeah. But when you spend energy on something, right? You know, it kind of, I feel like it can linger because you can't get rid of energy. So if you spend a lot of time suffering in a place, I think you leave a kind of energetic imprint on the area. And I feel like that's why things, for them to be haunted, there has to be a lot of death because that means there was a lot of people there, and then a lot of suffering in that death because that was a lot of energy spent focused on that specific area and what was wrong with you. So in the case of
go ahead.
Well, like in the case of the tuberculosis ward, you know, you've got a lot of people that would just die there, and most of them would be suffering pretty bad when they were doing it. So I think you leave kind of an energetic imprint on the area.
I don't know if Gibbs free energy and the laws of thermodynamics would agree, but
Probably not.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, I know.
But what else?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Joey. Sorry.
I mean, I have my own personal ghost stories, which we actually did a podcast on. If you'd like to check that out, Mr. Monsour.
Yeah, I've not listened to any podcasts because when Jimmy sent out that thing, you should listen. I'm a little worried about what I might hear. So, but maybe
I just so you know, I swear a lot.
I mean, that's why I'm glad you guys are keeping it clean right now.
Yeah, I'm keeping it as clean as I can.
You've done pretty well, Joey.
I have done well. We're like 34 minutes in, and I haven't swore once.
Usually, how long do these last? Or as long as they go?
About as long as they go. 45 minutes, I think, is our longest one.
Yeah, and that was about the presidents.
Well, we're not gonna. So, what's your best ghost story then?
Well, it was this time where my sister and I, we were playing around as kids, and we lived in this house, which was owned by. Well, okay. So basically, how this whole thing ended up, we were playing around at my parents' room, and then we went into the closet, and like the door slammed behind us, and it locked, and we were just screaming to be let out, and there's no lock on the door, so my parents had to like basically bust the door down, and my parents are convinced that closet was like a portal to a different dimension or something like that, like a ghost dimension.
Big jump.
Yeah. Well, that's
Poltergeist, right? You ever seen Poltergeist?
Yeah, Poltergeist.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I love Poltergeist. That is such a good movie.
That's a very good old one. Yeah.
Do you want to talk
Timbo,
about
do you have any good ghost stories?
Who?
Tim?
Wait, what?
Ring-a-ling-a-ling clue phone for Tim.
You're bringing out the clue phone on you.
Do you have any good ghost stories? I'll put it in FRQ for you. What's that?
Well, this one time, nothing big happened, but there's this, like, abandoned asylum at OU. And one time when I went up there, we went inside and we went where the supposed haunted body spot is. And like, we were taking pictures and you can kind of see like shadows in the pictures, but nothing really extreme has happened to me.
Did you get like any orbs? Like we take pictures, you see the orbs?
Oh yeah.
There were a couple of them.
That's
Yeah.
just dust.
That's the dust reflecting off of your flash. Because when I was at the reformatory, I almost got kicked out because I was telling everybody, oh, they're like, look at these orbs. And I'm like, it's just the light from your camera.
Get out.
I'm actually,
They asked me to leave.
I'm actually going to the reformatory for the incarceration tour this year. If they're going to have it, they probably won't.
When are you supposed to go?
It's like in July.
You might be let out of your house by then.
Yeah.
Maybe not in public,
I
but
hope
allowed
so.
out.
Give me any good ones?
So most of mine, actually my one good one comes from when I went to Waverly. And so a main thing to preference this with here is it's possible this is like a bunch of other things because one, the building's open to the air. So like it's open to the outside, you know. But I was walking down this hallway, okay, and there's this exit sign. And the exit sign's here, I'm coming this way. So I get to the end of this hallway and I turn around and I can't see the exit sign anymore. Which isn't that scary from like just, you know, its own perspective. But as I started walking back, I just got really uncomfortable. And I'd walked quite a distance and I'm like, the exit sign should have been there. So I turned back around and I could see the exit sign again. And it just got really uncomfortable. And then there was this like, it's hard to describe. I'd feel better if I had my cousin here who also saw this. But we walked kind of back to where the light of the exit sign was. And there was like this dark shadow that kind of flew in and went straight down into the ground. I should have stayed longer to investigate, but I got scared and like ran away. And
Did you run out of the building?
I didn't run out of the building, but I ran. The way it's set up is you got that area that's open to the outside, bedrooms, and then a hallway. So we were in the hallway when this happened. I ran through the bedrooms out to the area that's open to the outside. And I was very, very uncomfortable when I ran back. My cousin was with me. My dad's like, what happened? And I'm like, oh, there was, this black thing that flew in and landed, and it kind of scared me. Might have been a bat. I don't think it was. But
it probably was just a bat.
It just made me very uncomfortable. Also, I think something with that whole place, you can kind of, I know shadow people are like kind of a thing because you can see them.
Time out.
Shadow people, man.
Shadow.
What is a shadow person?
You've never heard of a shadow person?
No, I haven't.
So shadow people, they might be a phenomenon of like an oral hallucination. But when you walk through these hallways, right, you'll have areas that are very dimly lit. Like there's a little bit of moonlight or there's a little bit of an exit sign. And you can see things move out of the corner of your eyes. And those are shadow people. They look like human figures and they move. Now, the only problem I have with saying that it's just like a visual hallucination is that there was one time specifically where I was like, oh, you see that? And as I was saying, oh, you see that? Another dude was also like, oh, you see that? So, I mean, it happened at the same time. And this wasn't one where it was open to the open air. So it kind of convinced me on that one. You ever seen shadow people, Mr. Monsour?
No.
Not much of a ghost guy.
No, I mean I like a good, getting scared or whatnot, but I'm not gonna
Go ghost hunting.
I have, but I'm just saying,
Okay.
it was more the experience. But no, I think actually the what's scarier is like what you can actually like. That's why I think going back to the Halloween series, the way that first one was filmed, like how Michael Myers would just be kind of like across the street and you could barely see him like behind a tree. Those are the kind of things that kind of like, I'm not like zombies don't bother me and that kind of stuff, but it's like,
it's stalkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was one movie where like I don't know if the people were locked in the house and like the people like outside the house had like looked like the bags over their heads with the eyes cut out. Remember the name?
The
I
Strangers.
think it was The Strangers.
That one
Yes.
seemed like that would kind of freak me out. Never seen
That
it,
was a really
but
good movie.
Yeah.
those are the ones that kind of creep me out a little bit. But you know, like I said, Freddy Krueger, I think he's classic, but I think if they're trying to remake those ones, your shadow puppet.
They did try to remake Friday. They
Shadow
did try to
people.
remake A Nightmare on Elm Street. It was bad.
Yeah.
So I don't think people like that doesn't scare people anymore. So probably, like I said, within the next 5 years, you're going to see movies about quarantines and viruses, and no one's going to go out and see a movie about zombies because everybody's stuck in their house. No, I feel like I'm Legend. But
I do like that's a good movie.
So, you know,
What do you guys think about the Purge movies?
The Purge?
I wasn't a huge fan.
That's a very like natural selection, survival of the whatever kind of concept, and like one
survival of the Joey.
But so I think I saw one of them. It was like so there's one day a year you can go and like just lock yourself in your house, and then people that are criminals get to go out and do whatever they want. Is that kind of what it is?
That's the Purge, yeah. They have a day a year where all crime is legal.
Yeah, I don't. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be scared by that.
They turned it into a political statement. That's what the movie became.
The first one was more of like a home break-in during the Purge. It was kind of weird, but.
And then they like found out that it was just a way to get like all the poor people to kill each other. And it was kind of like it made it less of a horror movie, and it just kind of felt like it was a cheap political rip.
Well, going back to the zombie movies, those are usually, like I said, if you probably look at some of these horror flicks, they probably do have some kind of base of what's going on in society. So if you look at those ones like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, you've got the rebellious teenagers, you know, doing what they're not supposed to, and then you have the one that's, you know, doing what she's doing. Usually, and it's a female. You don't usually see too many. I'm trying to think of any horror flicks where there is. Oh, there's a couple, I guess.
Alien.
A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 has a dude.
Yeah, but like usually it's like people that are like, oh, you know, I'm not doing anything wrong, and everybody else is doing whatever society says is wrong, and then. So, but anyways, what was the recent one? The guy that's in, you know, Kane and Peele. What was the one? I forget who's the.
Get Out.
It's
Get Out.
Yeah.
Get Out. That one was kind of. I mean.
I actually really liked that one.
He's coming out with another one too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing Candyman.
Candyman. That is probably one of my favorite.
I love Candyman. Yes. I love that so much. I don't know what my favorite part of that movie is, but like just the whole story and everything behind it is just so well put together. It's just so good. Such a good movie.
Yeah, the whole like Candyman, and like that one's again another take on like because issues of poverty and stuff. Cabrini Green, I think is where it's, you know, Chicago, but
yeah, Cabrini Green is like one of the most impoverished areas in Chicago, and it was
I think they leveled it. I think it's gone now.
Oh, did they get rid of it?
I think so.
They did, yeah.
I put a park in or a Starbucks.
Or both, you know.
Both.
It's a big area.
So, Tim, are you just kind of sitting in the dark in your room or something? Or are you just trying to set the mood or what?
He's in the basement.
I'm in my basement, and I have this red light, but you can't really see it.
Oh, see, okay.
It's not as cool as my red light, though.
Yeah.
I just got Darwin behind me, just checking things out.
Darwin. Hi, Darwin.
Hi, Darwin.
Yeah, my dining room has become the studio during quarantine, so this is where I film all that stuff.
That's good to get the layout of the house.
And that's about all you're going to see. So, what else? What else you guys got? Because we're going on 45 minutes. I don't know what your.
Just about. I mean, if anybody has any pressing matters, we can address them. If not,
you guys will then put this out on tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sunday
tomorrow at 12.
So you should have had. So you only had one question on Snapchat that was appropriate. Gotcha.
Yeah, we got a lot on there, but most of them aren't.
Do you usually get a lot of questions?
Yeah, but most of them are stupid.
Yeah, most of them are stupid and things that we already answered before we get into the questions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So is that it? Is this all?
is this podcast?
This is your show. I mean,
All right. Well,
we just weren't sure if you had any pressing matters otherwise.
hold on.
Anything you wanted to shout out? You got a
no,
brand?
I was just working on week 3 assignments for you guys, so we're
week
gonna see how that
3.
goes.
Oh, okay.
I got to work ahead. This is
Right.
This is my horror story right now. This is
Are you the one writing the horror movies of the future right now?
No, I mean,
Stuck in the.
So this morning got up at 5:30. Was running in the dark.
Oh.
Saw somebody coming towards me, and I was like, "Got to have their 6 feet. Got to be social distance." There's the name of the next horror flick. Social distance.
Social distance.
Social distance.
That's about right.
It's like you have a 6-foot barrier around you. Somebody gets into that barrier. I don't know.
So you go on a run at 5:30 in the morning.
I can't. You don't want to see anybody.
Huh. Joey,
I
think we went to bed at 5:30.
I think that's
We were playing Minecraft.
Good. Yeah, but I think whatever. Hopefully, you guys are keeping your pandemic journals. I'm going to start putting out some prompts for you guys to write about. But the next, I think the next resurgence of horror movies and themes are gonna come out of this next. Hopefully, we're out of this by May or April. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's start writing down your ideas because, like I said, you guys are going to have the primary literature of the future and start. You may write some good stories about quarantines and viruses. And are you shooting on a knife, Tim?
It's a fake knife.
It's a fake knife.
Like is he picking his teeth? We can
like a pirate? Are you a pirate?
We'll get you some toothpicks or floss, buddy.
It's not that dire yet.
Yeah, but anyways, back to that. I was just like, what the heck's he doing? But anyways, so yeah, keep those pandemic journals and yeah. So thanks for having me on, though. I appreciate it.
Oh,
you guys want me to come back?
To have you on.
Oh, no problem.
To have you back.
Well, you just let me know a theme. Maybe again, it has to be appropriate. And,
of course.
Yeah, because you guys do this once a week, right?
Once a week. Every week.
Let me know. If you guys think of another thing you want to talk about, let me know.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna. I think I'll leave and let you guys finish up what you got to do. Or
okay.
Well, actually, I don't know if I can do that, so I'm just gonna.
Okay, I can pause when everyone's.
Whatever.
All right.
Thanks for having me, and stay socially distant, and that's it. So I think I'm just gonna close out. So we'll see you guys.
See ya. Thanks for coming.
No problem. Let me find the leave meeting here, and we'll see you guys.
See ya.
Out.
All right, guys. Well, this has been the Exotic Trash Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Simcoe, and we're signing off.
See you guys.
Au revoir.